go on to Bank Shell Street. So this is the street that you can see here from the GPO. So from GPO, you take a right turn, go onto Kolkata Street and into Bank Shell Street. And here we're going to talk about an interesting, very interesting story. So let's go there. So this is on the map. This is the way we are walking. So we're standing here, we're coming around the front of the GPO and then going in Kolkata Street and then turning left onto Bankshall Street. And we are actually going to stop in front of whatever I've marked here as Bankshall Court. Now, as I show you the walkthrough video, I'll tell you a story. So in September of 1833, an American ship arrives in Calcutta with a mysterious shipment. And the coolies, the people, the laborers who are who are offloading this shipment, they see that this is white blocks of something from which there are smoke-like things emanating, and there also one of them had accidentally managed to touch it, and it gave him shivers, and he thought that this is something that is cursed. This American whatever white block arrived is cursed, and he actually thought that it had actually burned him because he had never felt that sensation before, that touching something and getting shivers like that. And also people around the area, the ghat that these blocks were being offloaded, the Indians, they were gathering together and trying to figure out what this mysterious thing is. And the laborers started asking for more money from the port commissioners to offload the ship, because they thought that this is a cursed material that they're offloading and something bad will happen if they touch them. So this thing, the Europeans consecrated this as crystal blocks of Yankee coldness. So we are in front of the Bankshall Court now. Now, one of you asked about the ballast stones. So what you see here in this pavement are the ballast stones. In fact, in my childhood, I have seen the entire Strand Road paved with these ballast stones, which were offloaded earlier on in the 18th and the 19th and 20th centuries from the ships coming from the west. And then they're then cut in proper shape and used to pave streets in Calcutta and pave tram lines. So these are the few remaining of them in the Dalhousie Square area, or the area near to it. Now, the reason that we stop in front of Bankshall Court, what is now Bankshall Court, is that you probably have figured out already that this crystal block of Yankee coldness, or something that is a cursed white material that, according to the Indians, these are actually blocks of ice. And these blocks of white ice were shipped all the way from Boston in Massachusetts in the United States to Calcutta. And remember, at that time, there was no Panama Canal. So there was no way to come through the Pacific. To come through the Pacific, you had to go around Argentina, and it was considered to be more dangerous. And the British ships used to come down Cape of Good Hope, and the American ships also took the Atlantic, went down around South Africa, and came to Calcutta, Bombay, and other places in South and Southeast Asia. So the voyage took anything between 6 to 8 months, depending on the nature of the sea, the winds, and all of that stuff. So it is basically surprising that Americans would try to send ice to Calcutta, tropical climate like Calcutta, over and risk a lot of money on that for such a long voyage. So let's see why we are standing here now. So this is the building that you will see if you peek inside the Bankshall Court compound. So this is a building which is still there, and on the right, which is probably the left of your screen because the screen is mirrored, you see the only photograph that exists that is accessible of Calcutta's ice house. This is 1851 hand-painted photograph taken by Frederick Fiebig and accessed from the British Library. So this ice house was built here on Bankshall Street to store ice because the ice was offloaded on the Brightman's Cart, which is the cart just next to this building towards the river on the Strand Road. And what you see here is the only remaining portion of that section of that ice house. So this remaining building on on the current picture is actually the remaining part of this building on the side, where from where ice was delivered to the customers. Now, ice was a very as I said, the voyage took a long time. It was full of risk, so it was a very uh, valuable commodity, and also it people that just had to pay a premium amount of money to buy even a little bit of ice. So and and the East India Company realized that there is a potential in this trade for them to make money, but they realized that if they tax the American ships, then they are not going to bring ice again to Calcutta. So what they did is they ordered the American ships to bring more and more ice every year. So in the first shipment, there was about 100 tons that were sent, and remarkably, about 80 tons of that survived. From the following year, from 1834 onwards, about around 700 to 1,000 tons of ice was sent to Calcutta from the United States. And this ice was sent here tax-free for the Americans. The people who bought this ice had to pay taxes, and also that's why it was a very highly priced commodity. And also you needed to have a doctor's certificate if you wanted to buy the ice, because it was such a prized commodity that not everyone can buy it, and that was true for Indians as well as Europeans. So let's now talk about how this ice trade operated. So we're going to talk about this person, Frederick Tudor, who ran this company called the Tudor Ice Company in the United States. And he basically came up with this idea that in Boston, ice is available freely in frozen lakes and ponds and all of that. So why can't we just harvest this ice and then build a ship which can take ice over long distances? And he basically created an ironclad ship with very thick basements where to store this ice, and this ice was stored with thick layers of sawdust, and then it was sent off to the southern parts of the states of the United States, the West Indies, and ultimately to India, and also to Australia at a later point. Uh, and so this trade was so lucrative for him that he instantly became a millionaire after the ice trade with Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras kicked off. Unfortunately, only one of these three ice houses exists now. That is the Madras Ice House, which is on Marina Beach, where Swami Vivekananda had stayed, and this is now the Madras Ramakrishna Mission. So here is the one of the early reports of ice arriving in Calcutta from the contemporary Asiatic Journal, and then you can see how like people thought that this is an impossible feat that was achieved. And then this is another one which talks about where the ice was offloaded and it was where it was stored. And there was also the idea floated that why can't we get ice from the Himalayas? But East India Company couldn't because the Himalayas were still out of their access. So this is a photograph from late 1800s of how this ice was harvested in Boston's lakes and ponds and rivers. Then we also come to this news of like here on this map, you can actually see the network of Tudor Ice Company. So they did not only send ice to parts of Europe, but also to the southern states of America, to Mexico, and to a lot of South American Spanish and Portuguese colonies there, and also to Sri Lanka, to the Indian subcontinent in general, to Canton, in South China, and also to Australia. So their ships were able to do all of this thing. And it is a remarkable feat, remarkable adventures and technological feat to build that kind of ship to be able to do that. So now let's take, before we finish this theme, let's take a look at a couple of more newspaper reports. So this is from 1848, where there is a report that an American ice ship called Aragon had gone down, had been damaged and lost just after crossing South Africa. So 800 tons of ice were lost in that. So in 1848, ice did not come to Calcutta at all, and that caused a huge hue and cry among those who were able to access the ice. And here you see that in 1853, East India Company finally decided that they had given too many subsidies to the Tudor Ice Company about doing tax-free trade. So they just abolished that trade subsidy in 1853. And but still, Tudor Ice Company's profit kept on going up despite paying taxes now, and they kept on sending ice to India, into Calcutta, as late as 1870s, when finally ice machines were invented and ice factories came up here locally, and the ice demand for American ice basically reduced and became nil. So yeah, that's the end of this theme. If you have any questions, you can ask me, or like Anmol will let me know.